So in this session, we are going to learn about exceptions and exceptions handling in Java. To start with, there are three types of errors in programming: the compile time error or the syntax error, then there is a logical error, then there is a runtime error. And this third type of error are called the exceptions. And the code that we add in our program to handle those runtime errors are called exception handling. So, what are exceptions? Exceptions are a type of error. It is an unwanted situation that comes in programming while we are making some input or while we are doing some input output. So, to handle those situations, we can add some extra code in our program. How do we do it? What does this all mean? Let us come and see it through some examples. So first of all, we will see what is a compile time error. Then we will see what is a logical error. Then we will see what is runtime error and how these runtime errors can be managed or handled. So let us come to the code. Now, this is a very simple program to print factorial of a number. This is a program that is very commonly used. Everyone knows it has a variable I to run the loop. It has a variable n which holds the number for which the factorial is to be calculated. And then there is a variable f which will store the factorial. So we start with 1, we move till n, and every time the value of I is incremented, and that is stored in the variable f. So if n is equals to 5, so first time it will be 1 into 1, then 1 into 2, then 1 into 3, and then into 4 into 5, and finally the factorial will be printed. Let me show you. So you can see it is printing factorial is equals to 120. Now, what is a logical, what is a syntax error? So first of all, the very first type of error, that is the compile time error or the syntax error. Suppose I miss the semicolon here, then what will happen? When I compile this program, it will not compile. See here, it is giving a syntax error message. You can see it is mentioned syntax error. Insert semicolon to complete block statement. So those errors which are recognized by the compiler when we compile the program are called the syntax error. This is the first type of error, and these errors are easiest to locate and handle because the program itself, when it's compiled, shows the error, the position. You can see it is also showing the line number is 3, the column number is 19, and what is expected, how we can solve this problem. So this is the most easiest type of error, and this is the most common error. These are usually these errors come usually when we do some mistyping in the program. So if I correct this, now this error will go and the program will compile and it will give the result. So you can see it is giving the result factorial equals to 120. There can be a lot of errors. Suppose I do not declare the variable n at all. I want to calculate factorial of number. I've written the program, but I have not declared the variable n, and I compile. So what will happen? Again, there is error, cannot be resolved. N cannot be resolved to a variable. So all this type of error which are caught by the compiler when we compile the program are called the compile time error or the syntax error. If we miss the bracket here, this will be also caught by the compiler. So this is also the syntax error or the compile time error. So the first type of error that comes in programming is the compile time error, that is due to the wrong syntax of the program, and that is easiest to solve, easiest to track, easiest to handle, because when we compile it, the program itself helps us to locate the error and how it can be corrected. So if we come back to the theory, there are three types of error: first is the compile time error or the syntax error that we have just now discussed. Now let's come to the logical error. Again, I'll take the same very example. We want to calculate the factorial of a number, and this is the logic that we have implemented. If there is some error in the logic, then what will happen? The program will not give the correct result. For example, if by mistake I initialize it with 0, then what will happen? Every time 0 is being multiplied by 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and finally the result will be always 0. So if I run this program, the program runs, but you can see the output factorial is 0. So in logical error, what happens? The program runs, but it will not give the correct result because we may not be using the right formula, we may not be using the right logic for calculation, we may not using the right way of putting in the loop, the if, the switch statement. So it is, the program will compile, the program will also give output, but what will happen? The program will not give the correct result. So this is very difficult to track because in long programs, in long projects where we write hundreds and thousands lines of code, so if there is one logical problem and it is not giving correct result, then it becomes very difficult to handle. So what we have to do, we have to debug, we have to make some output here and there, and then we try to locate from where this error was coming. Now I've corrected this logic behind the factorial of the program, and now if I compile, it is giving the error. So these are the two types of error that we have discussed: the compile time error or the syntax error due to the wrong syntax. If we are missing something in the program, then it is compile time error. It is detected as soon as we compile the program. The second type of error is the logical error that we just discussed. This is due to wrong logic. The program will run but will not give output. In compile time error, the program will not run at all. Now there is third type of error that is called a runtime error. Now to understand this, I'll again come to another example. Now see this program. Try to concentrate here in this program. In this program, we take two values from the user in N1 and N2. We have a scanner class object. We give the user the message to give two numbers. Those two numbers are taken in N1 and N2. Then we divide the first number by the second number, and the result is calculated and the result is printed. So this is a program wherein we take two numbers as input from the user. We divide first number by the second number and give the result. Now let me combine this program. Let me see what is happening. So it is asking for the two numbers. Now this is one example wherein we take two numbers as input from the user. Those two numbers are stored in the variable N1 and N2. Then we divide the first number by the second number and we print the result. Now when we run this program, it is asking for two numbers. Suppose I give 10 and I give 5. So what will happen? 10 will be stored in N1, 5 will be stored in N2. So it will print 10 by 5 is equals to 2. So as you can see, it is showing the result equals to 2. Thank you. So this is a program that takes as input from the user two numbers, and then it divides the first number by the second number and gives the result. I'll run it once again. Again, it's asking for two numbers. I'll enter, suppose I enter 20 and I enter 4. So you can see the result is equals to 5. Thank you. So it is giving the result. It is running, the program is running properly, and it is giving the result. Also, there is no compile time error, there is no runtime error in the program, and the program is properly getting executed. Now, in this very program, I run this program, I enter 10, I enter 0, then what will happen? In this situation, 10 by 0 will be infinite, and infinite value will not be able to be stored in the result variable, so it will give some error message. You can see it is giving error message, exception in thread main java.lang.arithmetic exception divided by 0. Now this error is something which the end user will not be able to understand what it is coming. I run this program once again. It is asking for two numbers. I give 10 and I give 2 in words. Many people think that computer is very smart. It is asking for two numbers. I'll give 10 and 2 in this way. Then what will happen? You can see then again there is exception in thread main. A long error is coming, java.util.input mismatch exception. As you can see that this program is correct. This is running properly in many situations, but there are some situations, limited situations, wherein this program is not running properly. Now again, if you give correct input to this program, I give 4, I give 2, you see it is giving result equals to 2. So for hundreds of inputs, this program will run perfectly fine, but there are few situations like when we give the input in words, or when we give the input in the second number is 0, then this program is giving some error. Now for a good programming practice, whenever we develop a program, whenever we develop a software, before giving it to the user, we try to make it such that no error comes at the user's end. So what can be done in this situation? Because the program is correct, there's no syntax error, there's no logical error, everything is fine, but how can we make sure that user will not make mistake? So for that, what happens, what we have to do is we have to add some extra code here in this program itself. How will we add that extra code? I'll give you one example. Now this is the same program. I have taken the same program, and what I'm doing it here is, you can see I'm adding this extra line, try opening bracket, this try bracket starting at line number 7 is closing at line number 14. Then I have added catch, and then I have added finally. As you can see, this is how we have written the program. This is the same program. What we are doing is, if you can compare it with this program, from line number 7 to line number 12, we have put in within the try block. You can see we have put in within the try block. Enter two numbers, whatever value will be entered. So what we do, those lines in which there can be error at runtime due to wrong input or due to wrong situations in the program, we put those lines in the try block. इन लाइंस में एरर आ सकता है when we run the program. ये लाइंस ऐसे हैं जिसमें एरर आ सकता है. ये लाइन जो लाइन नंबर 5 में है, ये लाइन जो लाइन नंबर 6 है, इसमें हम लोग सिर्फ वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं, इसमें कुछ एरर आने का चांसेस नहीं है. लेकिन जहाँ पर इनपुट हो रहा है, रिजल्ट कैलकुलेट हो रहा है, इसमें एरर आ सकता है, तो इसको हम लोग ट्राई ब्लॉक में लिख देंगे. अब होगा क्या कि अगर इस प्रोग्राम को रन करते समय किसी तरह का एरर नहीं आता है, तो ट्राई ब्लॉक के अंदर ये जो स्टेटमेंट्स है, ये स्टेटमेंट्स एग्जीक्यूट होगा और यहाँ से बाहर निकलेगा और फाइनली में जाएगा. फाइनली में थैंक यू प्रिंट होगा और बाहर निकल जाएगा. सो इट विल आस्क फॉर टू नंबर्स. सपोज वी एंटर 10 and 2. 10 will be accepted in N1, 2 will be accepted in N2. The result will be calculated 5. It will print result equals to 5, and then it will print thank you. So now, if what will happen if we enter 10 and 0, then in that situation, whenever there will be any error in these lines, which are in the try block. So it will not give the default error message. Instead, that error will be caught, and that error will be hide from the user, and this error message will be displayed. So whenever we make any type of error, so those error will not be displayed. Instead, the user will be guided properly so that he can understand that he is making some wrong input, so that he can correct and then run it again. Now let me show the program. First, I'll give the two values which are correct. I'll give 10 and I'll give 2. So you can see result equals to 5 and thank you. So there is no error in the program. So when there is no error in the program, it will not go to the catch block. All the statements in the try will execute. Then it will go to the finally. Finally is optional block. We can leave finally, but there has to be a catch block to catch the error. So if we write a try block and in those statements there is chance that some error can happen, it will go to the catch block. If the error does not happen, it will go to the finally and it will come out of the program. So this is running properly. Now I run the same program again. It is again asking for two numbers. I give 10 and 0. Now see, it is running properly. Please check your input. So in this time at line number 11, when the error was raised, so that error was not printed. Instead, it went to the catch block, and this message that we have printed, this is a very user-friendly message that we are giving to the user so that he can understand that, okay, I am making some wrong input. But what is that wrong input? He will not understand. He may have to see what is the type of the error, and then he can check and execute the program. I will run this program once more. I'll give the values in words. Suppose I give 10 and then I give 2. Then what will happen? Again, it will go to the catch block because there is error. So whenever there will be runtime error in the statements which are written in the try block, that error will not be shown. Instead, some very good user-friendly error message will be shown so that user will understand that the program is correct. He is not running the program properly. So this is how the things happen. I'll come to the output once again. You can see here, there are three types of error: compile time error, logical error, runtime error. Runtime exceptions are runtime errors. In Java, runtime error can be handled by adding some extra code in the program. This extra code added in the program to handle exceptions are called exception handlers, and the programming for handling exception is called exception handling. The statements in which runtime error can occur are written within the try catch block. See, this is the syntax. Whenever you know that this is the statement or these are the statements which can generate some runtime error, then you have to put a try block above that statements, and if those statements will generate error, the default errors will be caught, and instead the statements which are written in the catch block will be executed and then finally will be executed. And if there are some more statements in the program, then the program will not terminate abnormally, but it will run, it will give the output, and it will move on. Now, I'll show you one more example. Let me show the if the statements within try-catch block generate runtime error, the error is caught in the object E of exception class and control is shifted to the catch block. If there is no error, statements within catch are skipped. What does this mean? When these statements will generate error, that error which was coming initially will be stored here in this E variable. If we print E, that error will be printed. So we do not want to give user those complex errors which he or she might not understand, because end users will not, they are not programmers, they will not understand that those complicated errors. So we catch those errors and we give user friendly error messages, and the program also does not terminate abnormally, it moves on, and finally statements are printed, and then the the program will terminate properly. Now, if I show you once again, I'll come to the coding part once again. In this situation, in this program there are two situations. One is when the user is in the input is in words, and the second situation when the second number is 0. Now, suppose we want to give two different messages. One message is that you please do not enter second number as 0, and then in the second case we want to mention that the two numbers that the user has input should be in digits, it should not be in words. So let us write one more program and uh, then try to give user the proper messages. So for that I'll move to example3.java. And in example 3, first of all, I'll copy everything because we have to write the same program. I'll copy everything. I'll come to example 3. I'll paste the code here. Now, there are two exceptions that can happen. Let me first import java.util.asterisk. This is for the scanner class. So first error you can see here. How will we recognize? This is a program where we have not used any try catch block. Now when I run this program and I give 10 and 0, what is the name of the exception? It is arithmetic exception. You can see it is arithmetic exception. So we'll note one is arithmetic exception. I'll run this program once again. I'll give the numbers in words 2 and 3. And you note input mismatch exception. Input mismatch exception. You can even copy. Up come to this program, and here you can write arithmetic exception, that is divide by 0. Now here please check the input, and I'll also give one message that second number cannot be 0. Second number cannot be 0. So what will happen when in this catch statement, like you can remember this switch case, there are multiple cases, and depending on the value, the particular case statements are executed. Similarly, depending on the type of the error, the catch block will be executed. So I'll add one more catch, and here we'll have this arithmetic exception. This is input mismatch exception. So this I can say it is even, and here I can give E2. So if first error will come, it will be caught in even, second error will be caught in E2. And now I'll copy these two statements. I'll paste it here. Please check your input. Numbers cannot be in words. Numbers cannot be in words. Please enter digits. Enter digits. So what we are doing, we have written two situations here. In first situation, if the user will enter the second number at 0, so we have written that in that situation the program will alert the user that please second number cannot be 0, and when the user will enter in words, it will give a message that number cannot be in word. Now I'll run this third program. First of all, I'll run the program with correct values. So what will happen? All these catch blocks will be skipped. No catch block will be executed. It is goes to the finally block, prints thank you. So all the statements in the try block were correct. So both the catch blocks were left out and finally message was given. Now I'll run this program once again. I give 10 and 0. Now what happened? Now see, please check your input. Second number cannot be 0. Thank you. So this is very user-friendly message as compared to the message that was coming here. You can see when we run the program, this program, that is without try catch block. I give 10. I give the input. I give the input as 10 and 0. See, this is the message that was coming previously. So this message is very difficult for user to understand. The user will think that the program is not being written properly, so they will contact the software development company again and again that you have not given the correct program. But if we add some extra code, then the user will understand that the program is correct and that he is not making the right input to the program. Again, I'll run this program. I'll give numbers 2 and 3. See how neat the errors are given. Please check your input. Numbers cannot be in words. Please enter in digits. The same situation you can see when we do not use the try catch block. What happens? How the errors are coming. I am giving 2 and 3 the same inputs in this program. You can see, excuse me, how difficult the errors are. So what is exception? Exceptions are runtime error. And what is exception handling? Exception handling is adding extra code in the program so that those errors do not come, and instead some very good user-friendly messages come which the user will understand, and then he will not make a mistake. And what we do for this in the program, this is the program, this is perfectly correct program, you can see, but there are situations where this program is not running properly. So we note down all those situations and then we write a program in which we write those statements which can create some problem in the try block. Every try can have multiple catch block and one optional finally block. There can be only one catch block, but if we start try, we have to give at least one catch block. And if we write the catch block this way, if we write exception, then any type of error will come, it will say only that please check your input. So this is good, but the user may not understand what is the problem. So if we write it this way, for every typical situation, we give a customized error message, so the user will be more happy to see that the program is guiding it properly and the program is also not terminating abnormally and it will execute properly. So this is all about exceptions. This is the first session on exception. We have to do a lot of things in exception. We can create our own exception also, but I am keeping this short so that you can concentrate on this and try to understand this. Go through the theory part. I'll provide this theory also. You can check in the link for this theory will be also given in the video itself. So you have to go through the theory. This theory is also very important. Exceptions are runtime error, how the try catch blocks are executed, how we write try and catch. See in this part, you can see that if we add try, no exception is thrown, then the catch is statements in catch are not executed. It goes to the finally and then it goes out. When exception occurs, then from try it goes to the catch, then from catch it goes to the finally, and then it goes out of the program. So this is very good diagram example to understand how the try catch block statements are executed. What we do whenever there are chances of error, we put those statements in try block, and every try has to have at least one catch and the optional finally. Finally, statements are always executed. Catch statements are only executed when there is some runtime error. So in the coming session, we'll also see what are the different types of exceptions that can occur in this program. I've given only two examples. The one is arithmetic exception when the number is divided by 0, and one is input mismatch exception when the input was not being done properly. Thank you very much. You'll find the code and the theory of this program in the video link itself. You can go there, and always give your input after going through the video. Please provide some input that you liked the video or whatever you wanted to have more inside it, so that in the videos that we develop, we can add some more content according to your choice, according to your need, because we are trying to give more and more input to the users. But if you think that these videos should contain something more, something differently, then you always provide some comment. And if it is if you think that it is okay, then say that I like the video. In that way we'll be understanding that yes, the video was good for you.